Guys, welcome back. I have a few more updates on the 56 Ford Victoria, and I'd like to show you. First of all, and for me most important, I polished the body. The body is fully polished, and I was very pleased after I polished the body to realize there are no defects on the paint. I think it's great. The seafoam green is just a great color for this car, even though it's not factory original, but well, the car is not factory original either, so why to borrow? Here I mounted the underside on the body to test the stance, and I think it's great. The stance is great. The front suspension is just a bit lowered, not too much, just a bit, just enough to make the front end of the Ford to sit a little low, and the rear suspension is the stock height because I'm going to be using those Dragmasters at the back. Another update is the red parts are finally dry. This is the only drawback I see on those Umbro enamels, that they really take some time to dry, but they are just great and have a super shine. So highly recommend Umbro enamels. On the interior, I did some testing on a new technique I'm going to use. I think that is to use white decal paper to represent the white sections of the car seats, and I guess it turned out really great. I liked it a lot and saved me a lot of time on masking. Here you can see the same thing on the rear seat. Some white decal paper here on the rear bench seat to represent the white inserts. And I also did it here on the sides. And plus on the door panels. Let me remove the frame. You can see the door panels there with a little white detail that was done with decal paper. I think I'm going to leave the headliner this tone of blue because the interior is blue, but I'm still not sure. Maybe I'm going to paint it white. Not sure yet. Here you can see how the paint turned out. So I am very pleased with the paint and with my results with the decal paper on the seats. I'm planning on doing some carpeting, real carpeting here on the floorboards with a stuff I call velour paper, and I forgot to bring it here. Just a little jump cut. Okay, I'm back. Here is the velour paper. This is a piece with 40 centimeters by 60 centimeters. Let me take it out of the wrap. This is incredibly cheap, and I had great success using it as a carpeting. Here it is. Looks great as a carpeting in 1/25 scale, and it's the right color to go with the interior. So I'm thinking about using this as carpeting, and maybe, just maybe, using this on the headliner. Not sure yet. So, gentlemen, like you can see, this build is going quite well. Not as fast as I wanted it to go, but going quite well. I think by the end of the week I'll have the completed car. Still giving it sincere thought to do a slight weathering on the chassis to represent a car that have been on the road, but I'm kind of on the fence about this. My original idea was to represent a car that had been just repainted and completely refinished to be used as a road racer. And I usually like to represent things brand new. I don't have all that an appreciation for cars that have been heavily used or rusted or things like that, but even though once in a while I have done weathered chassis to represent a car that have been in the road for quite some time. And I don't know if this is the case with this Ford. Since it will have the cheater slicks on the back, the car wouldn't be used on rainy days anyway, because it will be kind of suicidal to run slicks on the back on the rain, especially with the kind of horsepower this car is going to have. So I imagine this beauty to be a weekend racer, something you use at at Saturdays and Sundays, when you want to give the guys driving the scrubs a good lesson and a run for their money. So, another thing I wanted to show you guys, it's the paint. You can see here the seafoam green. It's a leftover paint from my 53 Ford pickup build, and I had let me see, 450 milliliters done of this paint. It was custom mixed at my friend Acasio's paint shop in synthetic enamel, and this thing costed me 13 reais, and I will be able to paint, let's say, about 20 bodies with this. And the paint can be slightly modified in tone to represent other tones or Ford paint. You just have to mix it with some other basic colors in synthetic enamel. For example, a small bottle of Model Master paint costs here 14 reais. Exactly R1 more than this whole half a liter of paint. If we are talking about spray paint like Tamiya, we are talking about twice the cost of this for a mini spray. A mini spray paint rattle can. So automotive paint can be very economical. Indeed, if you plan to use it, even if you're going to use it one time on one build and throw the rest away. And by God, don't do that, because this thing has a very, very long shelf life as long as it's closed properly. It's very cheap to use automotive paint in synthetic enamel form. I'm not saying the polyurethane metallic paint that I also use when I want to represent a factory stock color. Those can cost up to 40-45 reais for half a liter. But even paying 40 or 45 reais for half a liter, I'm still on the cheap side. If I were going to ask the factory correct color from, let's say, MCW model finishes, a small little bottle would arrive here in Brazil for about the same cost of a big can like this. So there is quite no competition. And working with real automotive paints give the car you are painting a completely new level of authenticity. And there is also a little dirty secret on companies like MCW Automotive Painting, modeling paint. They buy automotive paint in great quantity, and they put the automotive paint on that little bottles and they sell you those paints as modeling paint, so you can pay twice as much. Yeah, that's a good way to make a buck. In general, the only aftermarket company I will really miss is the Model House, and those guys were great. I will really miss Model House. Well, enough of divagation, and I hope to have at least another update on this Ford before I put everything together. I'll put the carpeting here, we'll foil the body, we'll paint the detailing on the dash and on the engine compartment that is detail-less at the moment. And I'll plan to show you another video with all the parts completely ready to be assembled. And if everything goes well, I think this will happen around Thursday, maybe Friday. So stay tuned, and thank you very much for watching. Bye bye guys, and have a great week.